So then the Spanish get here, and they say, oh, this is a cool spot where you guys execute prisoners? Yeah, we're going to keep doing that, but we're going to drill our troops here, too. So that was kind of the thing, you know. When the Spanish first got here, the French citizens weren't really like, yay, Spain! You know, it's Spain. At least it's not England, but it's Spain. The Spanish get here, and they're like, yeah, you guys got to drink less French wine. Let's get some Spanish wine up in here. They just put them on a boat and kick them back out, you know. The Spanish guy who comes back, Bloody O'Reilly was his name, by the way. He took the leaders of the French colony that he came back to and lined them up against a wall and shot them. We call it Frenchman Street now, just in case you were wondering. Yeah, it's the St. Valentine's Day Massacre kind of thing, you know, and that's how the Spanish said, we mean business. And then, you know, just paraded troops around in the place where everybody hung out all day. 1840s or so. You had the Talbot family, Baroness Michaela Almonaster Talbot, one of the richest heiresses in the U.S. at the time. I want to say the richest, but don't quote me on that. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But yeah, she had a lot of money. She had a crazy amount of money. Unfortunately, she was also, as history has said, I never met her myself, ugly as sin. She was not working with much. Plus, there was an incident where her father-in-law accidentally shot 3 of her fingers off with a flintlock pistol. Cemetery. This was like the landed gentry cemetery, and they gave them 3 years to reinter all the bodies. But as I mentioned previously, nothing in this town happens on time. 3 years go by, they come out here one day and they look and say, wow, they're not doing anything with that anymore. They must be done. Nobody told us. And they start throwing down houses. Fast forward to 2011. A gentleman by the name of Vincent Marcello out here digging up the backyard of one of these properties to put in a swimming pool. Excuse me, I was going to say bathtub, that makes no sense. Swimming pool in his backyard, and finds 15 skeletons. 15. That's a lot. He's about to have the coolest goth pool party of all time, or make the weirdest phone call to the coroner's office in human history. Which is made even weirder by the fact that Vincent Marcello's grandfather, Carlos Marcello, is the most notorious mob boss in New Orleans. Again, we buried...
Great segue.
Yeah, I was going to say, we did build the Superdome on top of a burial ground. As to why we would name this Armstrong Park, very good reason. When the French Quarter walk past and they see a couple dark-skinned guys speaking to each other in what looks like demon language, and I was like, what are they talking about over there? That guy just chopped the head off a chicken, threw it in a pot? What kind of sacrifice is this? This guy's beating on drums? What is this? You ever seen a drum circle, man? You've never met hippies before, French people. I mean, at the time they hadn't, but you get the point, you know? That guy cut the head off the chicken, threw it in a pot. There's okra in that pot. He's making a gumbo, man. Give him a few minutes. It will be food. Those guys speaking in that demon tongue, it's Senegalese. Have you ever been to Africa? No! This is their culture. They think French sounds like gobbledygook. Or they're Haitian, in which case they probably don't speak the same French. You know what I mean? Like, there's no communication really going on there. And how about jazz funerals? Jazz funerals, everybody wants to know. What's up with that? Why do you guys play music on the way to and on the way back from the cemetery? You guys just really into partying and blocking traffic during the day and drinking? Yes, we are. It's a thing we do. We really do. We really did. So what is it, Tuesday? Cool, we're going to block downtown and drink during the day. But no, there's a reason for this. Say what you will about it. We had a few superstitions about how to bury our dead back in the day. One was that we would bury keys with the dead because that was metal and we didn't have a lot of metal to throw in there. But superstition states that you have to throw some iron in there so it wards the spirit off from coming back. I don't know exactly how this whole thing played out, but it also started the tradition of people in the French Quarter mounting their keyholes upside down. So, cornstalk fence on Royal. If you walk over there and look in the gate in the far end, even in the metal gate, the keyhole is upside down. Even today, you'll see in the French Quarter, you go up to like new apartments and stuff, and the keyholes are mounted upside down. This tradition stemmed back from then because that was the defense system we had. Just in case they come back from the dead, realize that is their house key. Remember where they live. We are counting on the risen dead to have the exact same problem that people do when they get slaves, too drunk to get into their house. You know what I mean? Just sitting here trying to get the key in the door for eternity. And so anyway, so another fun tradition we had was the jazz funeral. Jazz funeral tradition started with the theory that the ghosts would follow us home from the cemetery if we didn't scare them. So we would make as much noise as we could on the way to and on the way back from the cemetery, beating on things, pots and pans, stomping our feet, yelling, singing, whatever. Now, personally, I'm not exactly sure how the ghost would be able to follow the parade home, the islanders whatever, and so forth, when they were made slaves. They got here and they looked at what they had and what they were being forced to take part in, the Roman Catholicism, that was the law. And look at the two of them and they go, wait a second, this is the same stuff? Yeah, they're just using white guy names. That's all it was. So they just did a little copy pasta, you know what I mean? Just a little cut and paste job, and all of a sudden, hey, praise Jesus. There you go. So your voodoo in New Orleans, the hoodoo as it is known, and your Catholicism in New Orleans kind of blended together in their own right, to the point where if you go over to the Voodoo Museum, I want to say it's on Governor Nichols. Don't quote me on that. I'll Google it for you in a minute or something. But the Voodoo Museum, you go over there and you go looking through all the stuff in the back, especially they'll have all kinds of articles in there about the new voodoo priest in town is a Catholic priest. Medical records. What? Yeah, right? This one blew my mind. Back in the day, your doctor may not even know how to read and write. I mean, you know, medicine being what it was, I mean, trepanation and things, they'd pop holes in the skull to let the spirit out. I mean, medicine has not always been an exact science, if you know what I mean. But back in the day, your doctor just may not be literate. I mean, you figure handwriting's bad now, right? You know? So what they would do to make sure they knew what they did and what they needed to do, they would make a little doll that looks like you. And so when you'd come in with a busted leg or something, they'd put a pin in the leg to show that it was messed up. They do a little treatment on it. They change the pin out to show what they'd done, and when you come back in, they'd know, okay, the red pin's still in there, so we gotta, you know, wrap this. They'd probably just chop off their limbs, but for sake of argument here, you know. And so those pins told them what they'd done, what needed to be done, and then all of a sudden, people, being the extras from idiocracy that they are, decide that, wait a second, it's the pins that are making people feel better. This, of course, leads to someone, possibly an ancestor of Donald Trump or somebody, who's an entrepreneurial gentleman who had his hands on a bunch of dolls and said, no, it's the pins, they can hurt people. These are good dolls. You make Mexico pay. I mean, I don't know what his line was, and that started the whole trend of the voodoo doll thing being perpetrated as a myth. I mean, it happens, but it happens because of the myth. You know what I mean? Graves in here from 1790 to 1794, 95. But we are still putting people in this cemetery to this day. For instance, you can see over there the Ferrier family tomb. It's a great example. There are 2 people listed on the door. There are 5 people listed on the side. There are 2 coffins and 7 people in that grave. There's a remainder, if you do the math on that. So what's the deal with that? Well, the 2 people on the door are in those 2 coffins. The 5 people on the side are in the basement. See, what we do is we take the people in those coffins, we scrape them out, we put them in a bag called, I forgot the name of the bag, but we take the bag, we put it in this thing called a corbeau. It's like a laundry chute, and just down into the basement, where they can go and join their other relatives. Then we take the boxes, we put the new people in the boxes, we slide them in, we pop the door on, we change the names, and boom, Bob's your uncle. That's how you're buried. Now, 366 days have to elapse before we can reopen the tomb. So what happens if a bunch of people die? Well, we stash them somewhere. We're not putting them in there. It's against our rules. They needed the chair for however long. This is a hairdresser, you know? I mean, that was pretty much the best job she was going to get in a time when it was like nun, prostitute, washerwoman. Now, hairdresser, that gives you some access to people's lives. So she'd find out what's going on with their women. What do you want? What are you missing at home? Oh, well, my husband doesn't want to buy me a house in Paris for the summers, and it's disgusting in New Orleans in the summer. I want to get out of here, and he won't do it. And I'll tell you what, you give me $500, I'll get you that house. She is Marie Laveau. Boom, $500. What does she do? She turns around and gives like $5 to a slave, something like that. He slips a rat skeleton under homeboy's pillow. Guy wakes up the next day and says, I got a voodoo curse. I got to go see Marie Laveau. So boom, he runs to go see Marie, and it's like, what do I do? What do I do? Well, why do you have this? Well, it was probably my wife. I mean, she wants me to get her this house, but I don't want to lose my wife for 6 months out of the year. What if we got you a nice Creole mistress? How'd that work out for you? Oh, she's never going to go for that. Tell you what, you give me $500, I'll get you that mistress. Boom. Turns around. She's playing both sides now. Goes back to her wife. She's like, look, I got you a house. You're going to have to get him a mistress, but what do you care? I mean, you're going to get to France. You're going to meet a nice, handsome gardener named Jacques or something. You know, just want to make sure he's there when you get back, right? And yeah, she's got these people giving each other what they need in the first place. She's getting a cut on both ends, and everyone thinks it's because she has superpowers of some sort, like she's in tune with the occult. So to perpetrate these legends, of course, she has daughters that she names Marie that look just like her that also become hairdressers. So even after her death, people see her at work. She's still there. As a matter of fact, on her grave over here, she's listed as her daughter because Marie Laveau can never die. This, of course, has led to... Hi, Jen. This, of course, has led to various... tour guides of questionable authenticity coming up with the story that this is not the real grave of Marie Laveau and that she's hidden somewhere in the cemetery. So you'll see the faux Laveau tombs everywhere. They're marked with X's all over them. As for the X's, what's up with the X's? Well, in the 1970s, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Buddy, who worked the front gate here at the cemetery, started touring the cemetery and telling people stories. Specifically, the story that you could summon the spirit of Marie Laveau by knocking on her grave, drawing X's on her tomb, spinning in a circle 3 times, leaving money under the fake flowers that were next to her grave. But of course, if you wanted your good luck, if you wanted your wishes to continue to come true, you had to come back every year and leave 3 times the money that you left in the first place. Mr. Buddy retired in the 80s, a multimillionaire. You believe he made so much money on that hustle, he's buried in the cemetery today. Wow. We're going to go say hi in a minute.
Marie Laveau would have been proud.
Eventual future final resting place of one Mr. Nicolas Coppola, aka Nicolas Cage. Now, if you want to know the story of Nicolas Cage in New Orleans, he is not from here. He only lives here for, photo opportunities, basically. But as any crazy rich person might do, he decided once upon a time that he should have him a house here. And so he did. He bought a house here. He bought Laveau Mansion.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he paid $4 million for Laveau Mansion. Now, the fun part is right after he bought Laveau Mansion, he also bought this magnificent, masturbatory pyramid. Somebody loved National Treasure a little too much, didn't they, Nick Cage? Didn't they? Just a smidge, maybe. Just a smidge. Of course, course, you can tell that he bought this before he bought Lalaurie Mansion because the perpetual care sticker is there, or marker is there rather, which means his check cleared. Because right after he bought Lalaurie Mansion, the curse of Delphine Lalaurie took yet another victim. Honestly, I'm not Mr. believing in curses and hexes and, but come on, you guys. Exhibit A, the career of Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he bought that house for a lot of money. So he could live in a haunted house on, the 2 days out of a year he's in New Orleans, Of course, right after this, the IRS foreclosed on him. Take all of his assets, and at that point they're selling off Lalaurie Mansion for like $1.2 million or something. After you paid like $4 million for it. Then he can't get work anywhere because John Woo won't return his phone calls anymore. I mean, he's making the Wicker Man. Not the bees. Travolta's like, dude, you're making me look sane, and I am a known cultist. Come on, Nicolas Cage, what's your deal, man? Cemetery. I mean, look, you got this grave here, gets a quiet little alcove here, and then there's this. Oh yeah, see, this is the Dragon family tomb. Now, the Dragon family, aside from having a really cool name, were Hungarians. And in Hungarian, Dragon is Dracul. Yeah, Dragon is Dracul in Hungarian. This is Dracula's cousins, basically. I mean, they may be distant cousins or whatever, but there's got to be something to explain why this grave has not been opened since 1892, but it is in impeccable condition compared to some of the ones we've seen, right? And you're not seeing any perpetual care markers down here, are you? No, I'm pretty sure the Archdiocese doesn't touch this one on purpose. But somebody has. Somebody's done some repairs to it. Or something. Because check this out. That is concrete. Wow. That's a tombstone. Etchings in it. Yeah. That is like an Addams Family patch job. Somebody did turn this into. This is the hat that thing comes out of. This right here is the thing that makes me go, something is up with this. I mean, look at this area. I mean, you got a tomb over here that says Les Amis. This one's got French doors, man. This is where the party kicks off when they close the gates. They've even got a dance floor. Just saying. You could get a crowbar in here. Probably not that you should. I would lose my license. I'm just saying somewhere in here is something. It may not be a vampire. It's something. Now, I've heard an even crazier story than that. You can see here on the front of this tomb, this is the Sons of the American Revolution emblem. But if you were to, say, remove this Minuteman here from the middle, you would be left with the Rosicrucian Cross, symbol of the Knights Templar, guardians of the Holy Grail. Yeah, that's the other story I've heard about this grave, is that this, somehow, some way, this box in the St. Louis No. 1 Cemetery in New Orleans, Louisiana, United States of America, on this hemisphere, has somehow become the final resting place of the Holy Grail. Believe it or not, just please do not tell Nicolas Cage that story. Please don't, because he will be out here filming National Treasure 3 in this cemetery.
Just got through with Dark Crescent
Tours, Brian Bonhagen.
There's Brian. All right, great tour. You guys got to check this out. It was a daytime haunted cemetery tour. We walked everywhere. Don't ask me where we're at now, but it's a weird place.
This is Our Lady of Guadalupe Chapel, actually, directly across the street from the St. Louis No. 1 Cemetery. Rampart and Conti.
Looks like a cave with a lot of religious
This is called the Grotto, actually. It's pretty cool. I hadn't been here since I was a kid, actually.
Well, it was a great tour, but you told me a story before that about the vampires or so-called vampires. Could you run that over again?
Well, I mean, a lot of people want to know about vampires in New Orleans, and that's kind of the thing that's lasted here for a long time. There's legends, of course, Anne Rice for their stories and so forth. But probably the most credible, and I would say the longest-lasting vampire myth comes from the Casket Girls' days. Now, in the original days of the colony down here, where it was just the Outer Orleans, we didn't have women, not marriageable women anywhere. I mean, we had like brigands, we had Indians, what people claimed were cannibals, and then we had prostitutes and nuns, and those were not marriageable women for these gentlemen. So the nuns rode off to France, and they said, "Send us women, please." So they did. They got their young girls together, and they put some cheap luggage together for them, and who makes cheap luggage? We're talking like a cheap wooden box. Who builds cheap wooden boxes? The coffin maker. So they got these boxes made, and basically you get a boat full of girls coming over dragging coffins. Is there someone in the coffin? Oh my God. Did they just let over a ship full of vampires? Where do they take these coffins? They take them upstairs to the 3rd floor of Ursuline Convent, Ursuline Convent charters and Ursulines? Yeah, that makes sense. Trying to get the directions right for you guys. Ursuline Convent to this day gives tours of the convent, but they have never let anyone into the 3rd floor of Ursuline Convent, which is definitely not a good way for the Catholic Church to dispel the rumors that that's where they put the vampires. The vampire story is perpetrated on and on throughout the years. In the 1970s, there was a group of ghost hunters checking out the Beauregard Kai's house across the street, and one night, while they're out there checking out, cop comes past to check on them. They say they're fine. He comes back about 40 minutes later. One of them is missing, and 2 of them are dead on the steps of the church next door with puncture wounds in their neck and 95% of the blood missing from their bodies. Now, this could be because vampires. This could also be because someone with an anticoagulating agent pumped the blood out of them. But either way, does it really change much? I mean, wow.
Something drank some blood.
Something drank those ladies' blood, Now, again, even if it was just sanguinists and not actual vampires, why then? Why? During Hurricane Katrina, when those shutters flew open on the top floor of Ursuline Convent, why was it that the Catholic Church got silver screws sent over from the Vatican? I'm talking 15 screws blessed by the Pope per shutter, just to make sure that no one could, not even no one, so no light gets in and out of up there. That's how scary and dank it has to be up there. If you attempt, and I'm talking like, like people trying to dash into the White House or something, if you attempt to dash in there and get up those stairs, they will drag you kicking and screaming out of a building, and, you are banned. So currently I'm the only tour guide I know who is not banned from the inside of Ursuline. That's neither here nor there, though. But they are very, very serious. They claim that there are problems with the floor and that you collapse through the floor. But they also claim that that's where they keep hundreds of years of records, paper records, in file cabinets. You do the math on that. Pretty sure if that was true, those file cabinets would fall right through the floor. So even if there are no vampires, come on, church, you guys are hanging on to a bunch of kick-ass 16th, 17th century coffins. That's awesome enough. There's something in there. There is something, I guarantee you, there is something in there that we are not supposed to know.
And this is the kind of tour we had all afternoon. A lot of power here. Check it out, Dark Crescent Tours.
Dark Crescent
Ask for
Tours.
Brian, and it's a great way to spend an afternoon here.